What's up, Ivies? How y'all doing? We are doing a sketchbook tour today, specifically the sketchbook tour of a graphic design student, or at least the second half is the sketchbook of a graphic design student. Slow day, nothing too serious, nothing too crazy. So instead of yapping for too long, let's get in the green.
Can't tell how I'm feeling inside. I wanna be sales, but got too much pride. I wanna be sales, but I'm really here. Don't really like here, but I tell you I tried. I done did everything, get but cry. I done smoke all my weed, young nigga on fried. You can see all this shit in my eyes.
Before we do all that, before I show you what's in my sketchbook, I gotta remind you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, please comment. You're welcome to. It's not like I'm gonna send drones to your house or anything. You are safe. Comments just help to let me know how you feel, and likes help push my videos to people who would like to see them. So I'd like your help as much as you may like my showing up on your screen all the time. You help me, I help you. I think that's fair, right? But anyway, I won't interrupt no longer. We got to get into the sketchbook tour. So let's do that. By the way, like, all these stickers come from 6th Degree. Like, that's what they say. Like, I got this from a buddy of mine from Instagram. Chill guy. But he makes some good paintings, especially of, like, Marvel characters, Dragon Ball characters, and he got his clothing brand. Like, he's really popping off. It's cool to see. And I was glad he could, like, send me some stickers and, like, some shirts. Very happy. This is the sketchbook of a graphic design student. Now, ignore all these swirls. I usually have to break in my sketchbooks with just some incomplete doodle, because they're never, my first sketches in the sketchbook are never going to be, like, the best. I always just get nervous and ruin it. But, like, that's the point of breaking it in. So let's progress. To start, I forgot when I got this sketchbook. It could or could not have been that long ago, but this definitely has to be the storyboard for, like, an earlier chapter, which is crazy. Like, if y'all don't know, this is storyboard work for my comic Eat Kings. And so you can read it on Webtoon for free or access it early on my Webtoon, but this looks like it's like one of the earlier chapters, like 10 maybe? Something. But you can see me planning out a lot of stuff. Like here, this was supposed to be a trifold that advocated for the removal of AI data centers because of all its harmful effects. And honestly, I could just make a whole video on that. But in short, they poison and restrict water consumption for people. They use drinking water, not even like the stuff you can't drink, or rainwater, which they totally could. There are eco-friendly ways for AI data centers to exist, but they don't choose that way. And aside from the fact that AI and generative AI and these language models are not people, they'll never be people, and they use the labor of people to come off as people, it ruins the minds of people. So if you're not anti-AI, you're not for me. But here, I think I was planning out some sort of sequential art piece, especially after I got exposed to the artist Jacob Lawrence for the first time. I did kind of have to agree with like his idea or even philosophy of that a story can't truly be told in just one image, which is why I think for his war series, he had so many paintings. But my favorite from that series is Victory. I mean, because it's muted, it's drab, it's so heavy of a piece. But we're not talking about that. Honestly, I really should just make a video of me talking about that. Researching artists, talk about my favorite piece of theirs. That'd be so cool. I could do that, especially for my patrons. Yeah. Y'all gotta let me know. But here, I think I was planning the sketches for the fight between my character. Her name is Anna Franklin. I didn't realize until late that her name invokes a certain association, so I just call her Frankie, or just Anna. But this is supposed to be her fight with her lover turned monster Mooney, who she is not convinced is him at all. And I know my sketches are very hard to make out. And maybe that's good, because they're really only supposed to be for me to understand, even though I know that I'm going to end up making a video to show y'all. There are many times where I basically just waste a page. Well, I can't say this page was a waste. I just can't tell you what I intended to do with it. And I think I moved on fairly quick. But, see, I got to do a character design video for y'all, because there was a character I was working on that would appear as like a sort of antagonist short for like my character Vanta Visor. Because, you know, I have my main characters in Eat Kings, but I never really got to explore Vanta Visor enough. He was always just a side character. It's like a joke. But I feel like the best way to bring him back into the main story that I'm basically telling for y'all is like, you know, I tell this short story of Damani's encounter with this shadow man. He's called Boogie, but it's spelled kind of like bougie. Like, he's a boogeyman, but he's bougie. So he got like a pimp hat, fur coat, hella rings on his fingers, grills. He wears lavish clothes, but he can barely be seen. I promise you, it can work. Just let me cook. But I wanted to do like a short story or a one shot of my character Vanta Visor, so that I could bring him into the main story. Or rather, once I do, you already have the context, or you could go find it. But it'll happen soon. Tap in. But I think this is just some more sketches of maybe what Boogie could look like. No, this is the fight between Anna Franklin and Mooney. And I can tell, you can't tell what this looks like. I'm sorry. But I remember this fight so vividly. I remember having to draw it. And I think some of these parts here is like when the spear sticks through the panels. But here, I think this may have been like a pre-sketch to a nightmare I had that I had to paint. Because I think I did draw it. It's somewhere in here. A lot of this is notes. Don't worry about this. This might be a poem. What is this? See, I can't even tell you what I put because of how I drew it. No, this is music notes. I was trying, see, because I'm still trying to get into like music production and like songwriting, like, because I want to try as many art forms as I can. Like, I'm so, I guess, stubborn in the fact that I want to learn as many art forms as possible. So not just painting, not just illustration, not just digital artwork, not just wood carving or sculpting, but beat production, lyric writing, things like that. Here's sketches that do make sense. This is Manager Man and his horse, his barber. Like, the horse is his barber. That's it. This horse cuts his hair by chewing it up. And his name is Barbie. Or at least he finally decides to give him a name besides his barber. But the sketch here is of Miss Brown, the woman who's been afflicted by the ghost of shame and regret and anxiety, Dom Du. I haven't had her show back up in the story yet, but she enters a restaurant, and and one of my characters, Cleo Truth, exposes a ghost that's trying to feast on her soul. And here is Manager Man betting on dog chess because he really loves to gamble. I gotta get y'all like acquainted with my characters, but Manager Man loves to gamble, loves to drink. He's a simple guy, or at least that's how he chooses to appear off as. Now, this is just a sketch of one of my two main characters of my comic Eat Kings. This is Trey. He's the one with the afro. In the duo, he's the more calm, friendly, and thoughtful one, while Jay is more blunt, confrontational, and I'd even say stubborn. You're gonna see a lot of my like graphic design notes, and some of these. This sketch I think was for the fight in my comic, but I never ended up using it. I could have, but I didn't. It might have to be for another day, because I already wrote the chapter. I'm not redoing it. This is a sketch of Cleo Truth, bro. This is Cleo. She's using her eye power. I don't want to spoil it because I haven't shown it in the comic yet, but there's a reason her right eye is so prominent. Like, and it's just sketches of This is Manager Man, and I think this is his other panel. I was having like just a free time with this because over here, this is all the Vanta Visor Boogie stuff. Like, because Vanta Visor's power is like, somebody count how many times I said like in this video. Oh my goodness. Vanta Visor's power is a sort of black mirror. He can summon this black glass he calls Vanta Glass, but his main thing that he summons is the Vanta Veil. Now, originally in his concept, I had him using the word shatter to like summon this glass. I don't know how I'll carry it forward once I have him show up, but this is just me further drawing his like encounter with Boogie, because Damani's powers allow him to kind of teleport, but he's kind of like Shazam in the sense that when he speaks his word, he transforms into his powered state, and he is a vigilante for the city of Sodomora. There's something I wanted to implement where, like, maybe on a bi-weekly basis, I just release, like, a character that would be a part of the city of E-King. So, like, while you're waiting for the comic or you're waiting for, like, a mini comic, you get, oh, here's a random person that lives in the city that Tran J live and also work in. Maybe they could be a customer. They could be a character. It's just I haven't done it yet. I don't know why. Y'all would mess with it. I don't know why I put so much pressure on myself to do these things. I could just do it and y'all would probably fuck with it. But I want the encounter between Boogie and Damani to be scary, but humorous only because of its confusion. If I could just draw it out, it'd probably be better that way. Now, I think what I intended was for it to happen is Boogie, I won't say the word, but he pokes him in his abdomen with his, like, pimp cane. And he just falls to the ground. Like, the whole thing with Damani is that he's supposed to be, like, he's my interpretation of the teen hero archetype, but it's also commentary on the adultification of young black men, because in his powered state, he looks older to people. But mind you, he's like 15, 16 years old. Like, he should not be in the streets of the grimy city of Sodomora fighting drug dealers, muggers, and, like, serial killers and stuff. Like, this is no job for a kid. And I really want to reiterate that many times in my story, that this is not something he should be doing. But he does it anyway. And I also wanted Boogie to have, like, this monstrous form. So there's the different. It's like a pimp form and a monster form and like an angry big head form like MODOK. If y'all want a character design video for me to like draw Boogie out, like his concept, his like official character art, and just like a little interaction between him and Damani, let me know, because I really do want to share that with y'all, but I don't want to like. I mean, I can do it just because I want to, but I want to know who wants to see that, because then like it could help me breed some ideas. Here I have some like paintings that I was gonna start on. Like this one I did, and I can show it to you. I made, where is it? It's one of these in here. My wobbly camera. It's not this one, but this was my nightmare painting. This strange object appeared to me in a dream. This strange object appeared to me in a dream, and it never came back. But yeah, that's not the painting I had to show you. That I did. It's in here somewhere. There it is. You probably can not really make out the form the best, but it's this one. This was one of my first oil paintings that went well. I have quite a few that did not turn out quite right, but this one did. I probably should have put a trigger warning, blood, gore, sadness, all that. But like, I thought I did pretty well in terms of lighting, form. I was proud of this, even if it is murky. I feel like it has a dreamlike quality to it, so I admire it. I'm proud of this piece. But anyway, here's just a doodle of Tran J with their powers. Trey's powers were so hard to figure out compared to Jay's, because Jay's power is, the Conqueror's Root. And so his Conqueror's Root powers have two different forms, a branch and a root form. And He can, turn his dreads into Conqueror's Root. He can sprout it from his body because he's a body orator. But Trey's a mind orator. So he's not sprouting his powers from his body. He has an object that kind of is a conduit for that power in a way, or that he uses. And so it took so long for me to kind of combine all the ideas I wanted into his powers, especially in how that adds to his character. But essentially a tambourine and a bunch of salt circles. I can't say it. Salt circles. And a bunch of salt circles you'll see, it's kind of like Tron, but it's a tambourine. But it's also a halo. It looks cool when I do it. You'll see. Maybe I shouldn't just be spouting my ideas. But y'all are here anyway. You're going to experience it. You just don't know what I'll do with it. It's like Uno. Yeah, I can show you on my cards, but you don't know which one I'll put down next. And if I draw more, you still don't know which one I put down. But here, this might be like a drawing of Mama Eve looking at Trey and Jay. I think it's Mama Eve looking at Trey and Jay fighting Mooney with their new powers, but it's so messy I can't tell. And here, I think this is just notes on how I'll progress my comic and its timeline, because I'm going to be honest with y'all, I did not plan the timeline of events through, and it shows, but I'm glad you enjoy it. I hope I can improve from here. This was just some drawings of Trey. His body, how his orators sort of, because with orators are people affected by the surreal in the world of Sodomore, in the world of E-Kings, words or just messages or maxims appear on the bodies of these people. So when they're using abilities or when they're affected, words appear on them. I can't say it's not magic, but I mean they are kind of under spells in a way. And here was just like some concepts for like Cleo and my character Lele. She can shrink items by forming these like spatial bubbles in her hand. It's kind of like the hand from part 4 of JoJo's, but instead of like erasing stuff or scraping it away, it just minimizes things. It minimizes their size, or she can even minimize the space between her and a point. Here's just Trey and Jay posed up, the bros posted up. That's really all. It's weird that I wrote a comic about two men off the midway, and they won't be born until March. And right now my story is being led by women, and it's giving me a lot more fun to write, because with Trey and Jay's story, I felt like I really needed to force them in a particular path because I had a vision. But with my female characters, I can just, like, their abilities speak for themselves. They can kind of weed through these situations as they can. With Trey and Jay, I haven't given them their powers or set up their realities, their new realities yet, so I had to basically force them along this path. But here's some of, like, Jay's power in action, like how his dreads can turn into Conqueror's Root, how he can make shapes with it or put it onto his body like armor to conceal himself or protect himself. This is just concept for another ill folks monster. His name was going to be like Smokey, I think. No. What was it? Because I think I wrote it down, but I can't. Burning Bill. That was going to be his name. He was supposed to be a burn victim. Not that burn victims are scary, but that him as an ill folks monster, his smoking habit, his working lifestyle, all culminated in a person afflicted with hollow sickness dying and becoming this undead ill folks monster. And so, his bone and lungs is exposed. Half of his design is essentially tattered and burnt garments along with smoke that flow in and out of his body to make shapes. So, like, if y'all want to see me draw some more of these villains, I can. Burning Bill, Boogie. Because so far in E-Kings, I only have, like, 2 antagonists. And I had to make them up on the spot. Basically, they had to basically just show up. I think this is more of, like, Burning Bill standing around. This was a quick study of me, not me, the field of a football game, but, I didn't care to watch. I was not really entertained. Here, I think, was another Burning Bill design, but it would have been... it's like his lungs would have flipped inside out and formed a mask of sorts. But, you know. This is just another ill folks design. I was going ham with these monster designs, mind you. Because, like, watching Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers growing up, like, I loved, like, when monster design was very telling or when it was specialized for certain characters. Especially when people transform into monsters. This, I think, is just more music note stuff. Like, I was taking notes on, like, the major minor scales, what are chords and how they work, different time signatures. I was taking notes on what to look up. I think this here is just more music study, me practicing with 3D forms, and a drawing of Damani again. But that's really it. I don't even know what this is. This may be another drawing of my duo, but this is also still more music notes and poems. And some of this is just like painting sketches. Like, once I started to really use my sketchbook for whatever I wanted, I became so free. Like, if you're here for like amazing art, nah, bro, I take notes. This is the sketchbook of a graphic design student and overthinker. But this was toward the beginning of my graphic design schooling. Because, like, we were supposed to, it was called reinforced meaning, where we were picking words from a list, and we would choose a font to match the word, and then we would alter the font so that it had a visual language to match what the word meant. So, like, if it was parallel, you'd have, like, a font that suited the tone of the word, and then you transform the letters to make parallel, like they extend the L's to make two parallel lines. And this is a drawing of me in my room, but I can't even say if it's properly to scale. Like, I feel like my arm is overly long. My face is drawn semi alright, but my nose is wider than it looks. This here is my canvas and easel, my whiteboard, my 3 framed pictures. I think this is my stool, my outlet, and my banjo. And then here's just my TV, lamp, trash can, shelves. Y'all seen it in videos. You know the scene. Here's my Train J. Train Abed in the morning. Train Abed in stop motion. This, I think I was planning a piece for my car after it passed away. I was gonna paint my car as a white elephant, not the actual car. Here, this is what it looks like. Notes on composition of, like, when you're building a scene, painting. There's just so much unspoken stuff that will go into a piece of art that people love, and people just think it's easy to make. I had a conversation with somebody recently where they were surprised at how long it takes me to, like, make some art pieces or some drawings. And it's like, yeah. If you've never picked up a pencil and drawn, I guess, of course, you wouldn't think it'd take a while. Even for people who draw all the time, even for people who paint all the time, they will have this great idea, get started on it, get planning, and then realize, well, shit, it took me longer than I realized. Like, this is gonna take longer than I thought. It's literally easier said than done. Even when you put it into plan, it's easier planning it than it is to just finally do it and put it together. I don't even know what this is. I didn't draw this. I know I didn't. I know who did. I think my girlfriend drew this because I was visiting college campus with her. But this is just Trey and Jay, like, in their panels, how their powers may look. Like I said, Trey's powers is kind of like Tron. I want that tambourine to kind of fly out of his hand as like a projectile, and his salt rings as additives to the tambourine ring. I don't want to say I ripped off Trojan X, but sometimes when I have, like, these thoughts in my head of how it's supposed to go, I feel like I copied Trojan X, but I did not do that intentionally. Like, I have a whole different direction of where to take my story, but the idea of 2 young men gaining powers and just their aesthetics of, like, the dark and the brighter version, like, come on, that sounds like Trojan X, and I didn't even get to finish it. Lovely manga, I just lost track, man. Here's Jay with his conqueror's root weaved around his arms, around his head and his dread. And this is just Trey with like his saw rings, his halos around him. Now these are some superb sketches that I did. This one was going to be my car crushed by an elephant's foot and a bunch of faces in the sky and just me sitting next to it. I might actually just do that one. These old sketches are giving me like painting ideas. I forgot about these. I really should be going through my sketchbooks like I used to. This one here is me essentially like on a tire sat, just sat on a tire. I think I have wings. I maybe don't. But around the tire I'm sitting on is a bunch of elephants kind of circling the tire. And then this here is me, like, almost laid down like I'm deceased. My head resting on a tire. And a seatbelt strapped over my body. My hands over my chest. And then a bunch of small elephants, like I said, encircling my body. I think I did exactly 9 elephants. I chose 9. And then this here is just the elephant next to my car, me in the foreground at a gas station. So, like, all these scenes could be cool to do. And if, man, like I keep saying, if y'all want me to, like, make one of these my next painting, let me know. Because these aren't even bad sketches. Like, there's more. Like, I did elephants. Like, I was truly trying to learn how elephants are made, I guess. And I started to cook a little, like, I got this buddy, Ed. Bro, when we were in high school, bro, he was so good at drawing elephants. He still is. Not even just elephants. Like, any animal, like, bro, he was on that. I knew so many artists, especially me, that if you start talking about animals, it's like, bro, I ain't even trying to draw that. Which is probably very necessary. But he could put that down. And here's just me drawing elephants, tire, the side of my car. Because I've seen it so many times, I could just redraw it. And then here's me with the larger approach of those previous sketches. The elephants around my body, my head resting on the tire, the seatbelt on my chest. Here's me on the other one where I'm sitting on a tire. The elephants are encircling me. But I think in the background I was going to have like the fence posts, the white picket ones kind of moving around me in a circular way. So like a celestial body could kind of sit snugly in this pocket of negative space, or I could just leave it negative. Sometimes you don't have to crowd a piece. The negative space will allow it to speak. And some of this other stuff was me taking notes on like songs I really like so that I could like understand the formula or like the structure of certain songs so I could like take a step forward of learning what I want. Because like I said, I was very serious about learning music, learning how to produce beats, things of that nature. All of this is sketches for different painting. Like a homie commissioned me to make a painting of a clown crying with his head tilted down. And so here's me throwing around all these different ideas. I almost went with this one, but when I tried to like get a better sketch, I just wasn't really messing with it. So I was going with the clown facing away from the mirror with his head in hands. This one where the cigarette he smokes is like in front of his face and the smoke obscures him. Like there were so many things I was going for before I finally settled on something else. But over here, the U.S. federal government will not allow me to talk about what this painting is about. It's about a certain blue and white place. About a certain blue and white place. Anyway, this piece was going to be about Israel as a sea monster decapitating a reptilian Uncle Sam. But all these elements were going to be presented on a stage. So this is Israel in costume as a sort of droned angel. But it's not really an angel. It's a monster with 6 eyes. 6 eyes. And on this stage, while Uncle Sam is decapitated, as it reaches for Israel, Uncle Sam looks toward Israel. Israel looks away. And on the floor of the stage were going to be watermelons, yams, some other fruits. And there were going to be a cast, audience members in the background, just kind of away from the scene, because maybe to the audience it doesn't look real, but to those cast members it is. And that's why they're all not doing anything. They're not doing anything because it's a performance. They're not doing anything because it's real. That would have been a piece I made, but, I don't know where that would get me legally, judicially. So, unless one of y'all wants to commission that for a heavy price, I don't know. That might have to just stay in the vault, because I think I did more. Here's Uncle Sam on the ground. You can see his eye, his nose, him bleeding out. And here's the angelic drone. The angelic drone with a hand in his mouth, eating on it, with many eyes. A mix of machine, man, and divinity. All very false. Very illegitimate. And so here's more sketches of that clown. This one was going to be him holding a cigarette. And his seat in the foreground, I guess. Or is it background? The background. His seat in the background would have been engulfed by the flame and smoke of his cigarette, kind of talking about how his performance is, not a comfortable one, as he's backstage stressed about his actions or his delivery or his performance, like I said. This would have been a piece about the disposability of black people, how we're coated in a social tar. And it would have been a massive bowl pouring essentially tar or molasses on swaths of black people below. And uprooted from the ground are a bunch of forks, like dining forks, as we run around, swerving between them. It would have kind of mimicked the scene of, Pompeii, where the bodies are encased in ash. People are doing different things while this eventual terror engulfs them that they can never remove. This is just more clown sketches. I ended up with something that was not these, but I was throwing out a lot of ideas before I even started painting, because I was very nervous about going right with it. And in the original painting, this is closer to the final result, like a clown with the cigarette or, a blunt. There was a demon behind him with an arm on his shoulder, and the demon's tail was lighting the blunt. And I wanted in the background for them to be like stools, as you see, falling in the background, but I don't know. I just wasn't using my brushes correctly, and so I just opted for a very plain background, which if I did it now, I probably could have done it better, but I didn't. This is just more Trey notes because I was really uncertain about his abilities, but I don't have to over-explain it. This is my sketchbook. I was drawing my OCs. Honestly, this wasn't that. This was just a sorcerer, and my plan was for this city in the foreground, or I guess the background. I don't know why I keep getting those confused. And the background, it's in the back. This city in the background to have people kind of being lured from it, walking in a single file, double file line up to this mound that this magician was turning people into zombies. Or maybe it would have been the other way around. It would produce monsters that would go to the city. I think that's actually how it was. Yeah, that's what it was. I was drawing this in the car, just waiting to go somewhere else. And this was notes on my painting. For that commission I was doing for Bro, I would, in between each session, I would take notes of what I wanted to do to the painting to get it to the level of clarity I wanted. So I'd write down do this to the nose, do this to the face, add this, do this, smooth this out, add this. I just did that, and it helped out a lot in terms of giving me a direction so I didn't waste my painting time. There's just more drawings. Here's Frankie with her dream powers. She's, the dream queen. And here's Lele with her shrink bubble powers. Honestly, this drawing is not as bad as I would have remembered it when I made it. But I love those G-Pilot pens. They are pretty inky. They do spill pretty easy, but I mess with them heavy for that effect that they give. You can really layer on the ink with those. They're gel pens, so that makes sense. Here's Mooney transforming after Frankie eats the candy for her, but she doesn't eat it. She more or less passes it through a dream cloud and out of the mouth of her dream conjured spirit, Lila, and into the mouth of Mooney. So he's eating the second candy after his transformation, and that throws his body out of whack. And we'll see why in a bit. But here I was just trying to draw an alternate monster form for Mooney because I do plan for him to transform again. Because I love transformations. I've been a fan of anime manga for the longest. Why not have my villains transform into even greater threats as they battle my heroes and protagonists? But here I'm drawing Cleo Truth and Dom Do and Cornbread. If you don't know, Cleo Truth is essentially a character from my comic E King. She summons gourmet ghosts or gourmet ghouls. They're ghosts based off of soul food, let's be honest. And so far in my story, I've introduced Banana Boxer or Banana Pudding Boxer and Cornbread Brute. And Cornbread Brute and Dom Do were duking it out in the chapter that I'm writing. Can't tell you what happens to him, but it don't look too hot for him. This is just a sketch of the ghost that she's fighting because he's undergoing transformations, but not in the same sense as Mooney. Like, his body is starting to fall apart and degrade even as he technically acquires the upper hand in the fight. He's giving his body up for success. And so here's just panels of me practicing how the chapter may look. Here's Cleo's eye and her abilities taking into effect. She has the word like truth written down the length of her like cheek, mouth, chin, and neck from her eye. You know what I mean? And this is just, I think, the whale that they're inside of. Like, I got my characters fighting inside of a ghost whale's stomach. And I was only inspired to do so because of Kingdom Hearts. When Sora ends up in the stomach of that whale that swallows Geppetto and Pinocchio. That's the only reason I even decided to do that. That's where I got the idea from. And here's just more stories. Here's more drawings of Dom Do and Cornbread Brute. Like, I had them at a standoff, essentially. Just on this bit of food inside this whale's stomach acid. They're using it as a fighting arena. And I could go through all these, but you could easily just read the chapter because I'm fairly sure it's out. And if it's not, it will be out soon. And this is just me practicing faces from Pinterest. No. It wasn't Pinterest. I think it was Line of Action. It's a site where you can like sit and have references show up for a set amount of time. Like you could, do 30-second drawing sessions. You could as well do minute drawing sessions where it's like, okay, I'll draw this photo for this amount of time and then it'll change after that amount of time. But I was doing like 30-second sessions. So they would pass me by quick. Like you see me filling up this page of faces with my pen. And I think I did it again and I stopped. Because my wrist was probably starting to hurt. Like my wrist is still injured. I did not take good care of it. And now with the world we live in, I ain't got no health insurance. This right here, I was trying to draw that one Trump magazine photo because they had him looking wild in that pic. Like, I almost felt bad for him, almost. But this was just me taking notes on words I didn't know because I was making my way slowly through the Divine Comedy. And there were a lot of words that I was not familiar with, and I was looking up later for context. Here is just more painting as I was going to do. I think this one was going to be a guy on the ground. This one might have been a forest of some sort. And this is just some dude, like, slumped. I think he was going to have, like, a screen behind him. It would have been about the horrors of phones. But here is E-King spoilers. It's just another monster transformation and the situation devolving in even more chaos. I can explain it to you, but it'll be better written. Like, this will all be very familiar once I draw it and publish it. But I'm quite excited for it because I did not know how to progress what I had going on. All this is just stuff I did for like my niece. Like we were just writing words down, trying to get her to like spell them out. This is a mess, and I don't want to explain it, and I don't have to. This was for another project. I had to make essentially like street signs from random subjects that related to the state of Mississippi. So like I did blues, guns, church, segregation, river, mockingbird, fishing, farming, cotton, Dollar General, tobacco, and casinos. And so you see me doing the concept sketches. I made this one for segregation where it's a white dude at the top of the stairs and a black dude at the bottom of the stairs. For Dollar General, I had like a shopping cart and a dollar sign on top of it with an arrow. And then the guns was like a no gun sign, but it had like bullet holes in it because people were shooting it. And I think, yeah, this is just these aren't sketches. This, I am proud of this. This was my sketch for my Negro Scarecrow painting. You've probably seen the background of my videos. I do have it on my shop for sale, on my Shopify shop, so you can buy it. If you want, like, it's available for buy. I think it's like $260, so you can get it for purchase. Here, and by the way, like, and it's the link is in the description. Like my Patreon, my Instagram, TikTok, my webcomic link. Like, you can access that all there. So take a look at that link in the description, and maybe check out my website, my Patreon, my comic. You can do that. You got time. You've been here for 30 minutes. This is just more sketches. Like, I really allow myself to not fail, but just make a bunch of nonsense. Because, like, when I'm having to sculpt ideas that are unclear, I end up with unclear images. That was the only cool part of AI in the beginning, was that it was trying to be close to reality. But you can see it still stuttered. It still had gaps. But now it's just truly taking the offense. And I'm not here for any of it. Here's just me practicing, like, trying to do different body types and add, like, more characters to Eat Kings. Because I didn't want it to be just a meat fest. It can, but, like, come on now. There's women that exist in the world. I don't need it to be mostly men doing stuff. Let's do different body types. Let's do different people. Let's make everybody look unique. And here's more sketches for the traffic signs I did. So, like, these are all fairly accurate to what I ended up doing with the project. So, like, farming was like a cow head and then like a rake and a hoe over the cow's head. And the one for smoking was like a smoking cloud with teeth falling out. Don't smoke, it kills. I think for catfish, which is a cat with a fish inside of its mouth, I was fairly proud of the fishing one. Because, I had the guy fishing and grabbing the fish from the water, and I used the negative, whatever. Next page. These were the sketches for the short comic where Manager Man has his hair cut or eaten by his horse barber. And this drawing here is him and his employee, Ground Beef, the dog that also works with Trey and Jay at the restaurant Eat King. Remember, the comic is called Eat Kings. The restaurant is called Eat King. The restaurant is Eat King. I cannot explain to you what I'm looking at right now. This could have been notes. No, this is just more storyboarding. Let's move on. This was a quick study of the bowling alley when I was out with my friends. And getting the scale right for, like, stuff in the background gets harder because I'll draw everything in the foreground so spaced out and so close. That's why you kind of do need to do quick studies of the environments you're sat in, because, like, you'll think you're good at perspective, but then you realize, like, oh, I'm making a lot of assumptions about space and positioning, especially with, like, just how your perspective sits. This is more notes about E Kings. This would have been a painting I would have done, but there's really no reason to let it continue. It's still going. I'm at 40 minutes. We're not even halfway done, but that's fine. This drawing here, I was waiting for my time to get into class. Like, I can make neater artwork. I can make good ink artwork. Don't get that twisted. I just rarely do that in the sketchbook because I'm using it to plan stuff now. Like, I use it to take notes. I've made it a home for me. But I can sit and draw, freestyle it. Like, I don't even know why I did this. I like that it's well made, but I also just don't like that it's such a weird drawing. Like, why did I make this? But because of how I feel about it, I'm almost proud that it exists, because why do I feel that way about it? This is a quick study of my room, like me laying in bed, drawing it from the bed's view. So, like, here's my chair, basically where I'm sitting now recording this video in front of my TV. My shelves up top, my floor, here's the stool, the outlets, the framed photos and pics and paintings, my whiteboard, my banjo, not my hamper, but essentially my hamper for my dirty clothes, my heater, my rug. I think that's weights right here. And here's my table. where the podcasts and the bigger videos happen. Now, this was going to be like a still life of Waddle and Dondre, my glass duck pipe, and Waddle, my like carved lucky totem. You know, the frog, Waddle, y'all see him all the time. And there was going to be a candle in front of him. I had trouble trying to depict it, and I have a painting that was of it in progress, but I didn't finish it. What you're seeing now here is like the OC drawings I did for like y'all. You already saw that video. It's already out. This is just more stuff. See, here's the cuter OCs. Here's the ill folks. Here's the mask guy. Here I was out visiting a friend of my girlfriend, so I was just sat in the kitchen just drawing what was on the counter, what was around me, doing another quick study. Here was a potential painting I would have done. It's very similar to the one you've probably seen in the background of a lot of my videos, or just the one or two you've seen with the guy with the spear and the bowl on his head. This was probably my original concept, like for that whole character and theme I'd carry forward for a series of paintings, but I haven't done this yet. It could be cool. I could do it later, just not right now. And this is just because I wanted the series of paintings to be me and a bunch of frogs chilling. But I would be depicted with almost tar black skin, a loincloth, and a bowl and spear in my possession at most times. And I'd be in this different world. You could call it escapism, you could call it delusion. I call it good art. Moving on. This is just more body sketches. You can tell like I really don't practice anatomy enough. That's why this looks so broken. This is why I'm so hard on myself, because I know about the effort I didn't put in. And so the gaps in my work correlate to the guilt of the work I didn't do. So if I want it to look good, I have to make it better. The best artists you know are still learning. No matter how great they are still learning. But here's a sketch for the painting I made. Like the one in my room. It's the spearmen, the frogs, and the monster in the background. Now this composition is, I'm going to be honest, a little bit better than the one I have. But all things considered, when I started painting it, I was nervous for how it turned out, because I basically challenged myself and pushed through it and did it. So I'm proud of it. Like, you would think, oh, it's just a painting, but it's like, you want it to look a certain way. And even if it didn't look a certain way of how you envisioned it, if the message is clear and the clarity is present, then you still succeeded. It just won't look exactly as how you envisioned it. This is just another drawing of Cleo. You got Dom do the ghost that she's fighting. And here's me, like, drawing up how some of the chapter would have looked. Crazy thing enough, this is the chapter I'm still working on, chapter 14. And I don't even think I studied these. I don't even think I studied. I drew all this. And it did, like I drew, amount to 50 pages. But I ended up not even looking at these. I drew something entirely different. So, like, I wasted time doing storyboards that I didn't look at. But it's good that I did, so I could at least figure out how many pages it would be. Here's me as an old man with, like, my tattoos and my piercings. But if I was bald, I don't really think I'll go bald when I get old. But I think I'd be cool bald with tattoos as an old man. Like, people think that, like, getting old means you can't have the tattoos, which is weird to me. Like, I'm not scared to get old. I'm not scared of age. Honestly, it's an honor, considering that marginalized people in this country don't even get that sometimes. Here's a drawing of, like, people seeing shark in a pool. It's very gibberish, but I had fun doing it. It's just a doodle. It doesn't have to be serious. I don't have to be Picasso every time. Actually, not Picasso. I don't even like Picasso. I don't have to be Michelangelo every time I draw. I don't like Picasso. I had to say that again just for effect. This was me planning, like, my art sona with the staff. I really should just draw him more if I want to have it take effect. And I could as well. This was my sketch for, like, my meet the artist. So, like, I was plotting out where I would be, where my name, where all this extra information to be. The pose is a bit different because this one has a lot more action to it. But in the original, like, not the original, but, like, the video I released, it didn't have that much, which is fine. This is me planning out, like, how I do my commissions, which I still have to make the cards for. this is just more Trey and Jay stuff. Like, this is Trey and Jay posted up, flicking. Right here is Jax from the Amazing Digital Circus. Here's Jay from Eat Kings. And then this is one of the OCs I drew with his, like, flamingo scythe. This is another quick study of my room from a different angle. From the chair I'm sitting in now, but I'm facing the doors. So here's my closet, my banjo, my hamper, my table, my canvas with the paintings. My artwork that I've got hung, I didn't do the specifics. My Van Gogh poster. I think a cup that would have held some brushes, table, chair, and door. Very non-specific, very to the point. This was another OC sketch I did, which was for the ill folks when you've seen it. I can't even make out what some of this is on the bottom. But I know it had a purpose. Like, I just know it did. Now, this was a big man looking into a Coke bottle with a person inside of it, which I think would have just been another painting about race. And then here's just another digital circus drawing I did with Jax posted up with, like, a revolver and Pomni, like, in the background. Like, what are you going to do with that? And here's Abel. You know, the NPC Kane took control of to lie to them. I kind of like the little drawing look he had on his face. I did not think the sketch would look that cool, but since I prioritized values and contrast, it came out with a better communication. This here was a mask or like face paint I'm working on, because that's probably going to change in my videos where like my face will look different. You'll see it when you see it, but just know I am planning to make that change. It won't happen soon. Well, it'll be soon, but not soon. And this is sketches of like regular ill folk. So like the same way the Heartless and Nobody's Function in Kingdom Hearts is like fodder, they're like the ill folks version of fodder. So like the ill folks without characterization or specialized like moves or identities, but they're still ill folk like zombie monsters. Here is basically E King's version of the Ku Klux Klan, because E Kings exists in the future of our world. So it's still our world, but it's affected differently. Kind of like how Ninja Turtles has the Foot Clan or the Krang. These guys aren't the Ku Klux Klan, they're the Fang. And they are smelly white supremacists that wear the old tattered cloths of a fake brotherhood. So that's who they are. This is just more music stuff. This might have been another sketch for E Kings. Or no. This might have been a painting I was planning where it's a person trying not to look into the eyes of the god of panic. Or Demos. What is that, the Greek one? This is more like Trey and Jay stuff. I wanted to make some more official artwork for them since they've been neglected for like over a year. Like, my main characters haven't been seen, and people really don't even have them distinguished yet. Like, I really got to define them against one another. And this is honestly the last page. Well, this is, but this is just Dom Do. I was trying to, like, write down what all his cuffs say, because, like, I based his design off of, like, Genie from Aladdin. So, like, that's why he has those cuffs on him. But his cuffs say shame, guilt, lament, regret, anxiety, those things. That's what his cuffs say. And his loincloth just says damn on the front and back. He had like 4 arms and 2 legs, but he ate 2 of his arms. I didn't draw it the right way, but it's fine. He has 2 arms now. And I guess technically he did consume his cuffs in that one chapter I wrote. And I can't spoil the chapter for you, but I was just doing some figure drawings, getting notes on Cleo's predicament at the end of the chapter. You're going to have to be tuned in for when that drops. It'll be a few weeks. And for this last drawing of my sketchbook is Balloon Man. Let me know if I should bring him back, because Balloon Man's been one of my OCs since like 2021. And I'm proud of him. But he hasn't appeared in any stories yet, which is weird. Let me know. But this is all the sketches I got. I hope y'all enjoyed that sketchbook tour. I appreciate your patience. Remember, you can join my Discord. I've got folks in there. I chat in there whenever I can squeeze in some extra minutes from real life and not have to upload, just to chat with y'all. Join my Patreon as a free member, or you could pay. It's like $1, $3, $5. It's been that same price. Read Eat Kings on Webtoon. It comes out for free. You can read it early on the Patreon. And check out my shop. I got shop in the links in the description. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of that's really in the description if you're trying to tap in and check it out. But aside from all that, I won't hold you too long. You gotta make your daily doodle, and please get in the green. Yeah.
Can't say I'm feeling insane. I wanna be serious, but got too much pride. I wanna be serious, but I'm really here. Don't really like here, but I tell you I tried. I done did everything, get but cry. I done smoke all my weed, young nigga on fried. You can see all this shit in my eyes.